lesson that we learned last meeting.
Can you answer this? Number 1. List 3 equivalent fractions of two named. Answer. 3 equivalent fractions of two named are. Can you guess the answer? Let us check it. Two times 2. The numerator and denominator times 2 equals 418. Then times 3 equals 627. Times 4, 836. So the answer, 3 equivalent fractions of two named are 418, 627, and 836. Are you correct, students? Now, continue to number 2. Find the simplest form of 1428. Remember how to simplify the fractions. Yes, you correct. Dividing. 1428 divided by 2 equals 714. 714 is not the simplest form because 7 can be divided by 7 and 14 can be divided by 7 also. Equals a half. But a half cannot be divided equally as the smallest number. So, the simplest form of 1428 is a half. We have reviewed the material last meeting. Now, get focused to compare unlike fractions. How to compare fractions? To compare two fractions, there are two steps, which are: Step 1. Compare denominators. If they are different, rewrite one or both fractions with a common denominator. Step 2. Check denominators. If denominators are the same, then the fraction with the greater numerator is the greater fraction. The fraction with the smaller numerator is the smaller fraction. And as noted above, if the numerators are equal, the fractions are equivalent. Comparing unlike fractions. Definition. The fractions are called unlike fractions if their denominators are not same or not equal. Because denominators are different, find the equivalent fraction of the fractions. There are 3 ways to compare fractions. First, comparing fractions using fraction disk or fraction bars. Example, compare 3/4 and half. These are fraction disks of 3/4 and 1/2 or a half. Look at the area or the shaded parts. 3/4 and a half are unlike fractions because they don't have the same denominators. Here 4 and this 2. From the fraction this above, we can see that 3/4 is greater than half. That's it, the first way. Now, the second way to compare fractions. Compare fractions with respect to half. Example, compare 1/3 and 5/8. Answer, fraction this of 1/3 and 5/8. These are the area or the shaded parts. 5/8, half, 1/3. From the diagram above, 5/8 is greater than half of a whole. 1/3 is smaller than half of the same whole. So, 5/8 is greater than 1/3. The third ways to compare fractions using equivalent fractions. Example, compare 3/4 and 7/8, which is smaller. 3/4, 7/8. We are going to find the equivalent fractions of each fraction. Times 2 equals 6/8. Times 3, 9/12. Times 4, 12/16. 7/8 times 2 equals 14/16. 12/16 and 14/16 have the same denominator. So, they have the same denominators, which is 16. Then, compare their numerators, which are 12 and 14. 12 is smaller than 14, so 12/16 is smaller than 14/16. We can see 3/4 is smaller than 7/8. Exercise. Compare 5/6 and 3/4. We can compare them using 3 ways, which are using fraction this. 5/6. This 3/4. From the fraction this above, we can see that 5/6 is greater than 3/4. B. With respect to half. Answer. This is the bar of 5/6. This is 3/4. This is half. From the diagram above, 5/6 is greater than half of whole. 3/4 is greater than half of the same whole. So, 5/6 is greater than 3/4. C. The third ways, using equivalent fractions. 5/6 and 3/4. We are going to find the equivalent fractions of each fraction. times 2 equals 10/12. 3/4 times 2 equals 6/8. 10, 12, and 6/8. This is 12, this is 8. So they have different denominator. We have to find the same denominator. So we need to multiply 3/4. 3/4 times 3 equals 9/12. Now you can see 12 and 12. They are the same. They have the same denominators, which is 12. Then compare their numerators, which are 10 and 9. 10 is greater than 9. So 10/12 is greater than 9/12. We can see 5/6 is greater than 3/4. Summarize. Let's mention it. Today we have learned comparing unlike fractions using 3 ways, which are fractions, fraction this or fraction bars, with respect to half, with equivalent fractions. See you next time.
That's all about comparing unlike fractions. Do the practice and see you next time. Thank you. Amitofo.